All right.
Yo, but I'm so fucking stoked to be with you today. How's your day? What are you doing? What are you up to? You look fucking wonderful, dude.
Thank you. I got my
Yeah.
Fauci ouchie yesterday, and my philosophy has like, okay, so I've been with my boyfriend for 4.5 years. We're
Hey,
coming up on 5
congrats.
years actually pretty soon.
Yeah.
And we met at this convention that was a Song of Ice and Fire / Game of Thrones convention.
Hmm.
And we went there every year. Sometimes we do panels there, that sort of thing, because we're really into geek culture and we're really into this particular fandom. And, well, because of COVID, we also, one of our first dates was at a Ren Fair. So, and then
Yeah.
because of COVID, all that stuff got canceled. And so I decided, like, since COVID took so much from me, I decided to go and I got you can't really, there we go.
Okay.
And I got my COVID vaccination in this dress. I spent a bunch of money on a dress on Etsy because my old costume didn't work, like fell apart. But I went and I got a new dress and I was like, well, I'm going to dress like this. Now, I know I look like I'm bound for the guillotine and I understand that. But I believe that someday under luxury socialism, we'll all be able to dress like a Borgia or a Sailor Moon villain. And that's what I want, so.
Oh my gosh. We're learning so much about WendyNerd already. It's fascinating and everything. And gosh, I just love you so much. I'm so happy to be with you. WendyNerd, as you know, we've invited you here in the spirit of building leftist unity, strength, and power. I'm stoked that you're stoked. And I'm so happy to be with you today. And I thank you, in that same spirit, I thank you for being willing to chat with me today and talk about your life, talk about your pathway left, and maybe some tips that we can learn from you. And of course, the questionnaires later. And I'm really excited. Actually, before we begin, did you have any questions about anything?
No, I think I'm pretty good. You've done a really good job of explaining things to me. He's always explaining things to me, guys. You don't realize it, but he has helped me so much. I would still be on Twitch Beta Studio if it weren't for you.
Yeah, you gotta get away from the beta studio.
I keep trying to tell my boyfriend that because he started streaming, and I was like, "You need to get on OBS. You need to get on OBS." And he just he's so weird about it.
Yeah, I don't know. What can you say? You know, you just gotta let people learn the hard way, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So, Wendy, so nice to be with you again. So now we get to allow you to talk a little bit about your story, who you are, where you're from, or as much as you're willing to share, and where people can find you and what you do.
All right. Well, my name's Wendy. I am a writer and a performer and a role player. I do a lot of stuff. I mostly right now, my main job is as a glorified note taker, but it's for the office. I actually work for the evil federal government. I know, but it's to help secure federal grants for domestic violence charities. So that's what I'm doing right now.
Wow.
And I've also worked as a proposal writer, but I was terrible at it. And I've been working as a copywriter, and I'm also working for cannabis education activism, things like that.
Cool.
I know I sound like a total lib, but that's I do that. I love to stream video games, and I also I've gotten more into streaming baking and cake decorating as well. Here are some cookies I just made.
Oh wow!
And then
are those chocolate chip? I didn't get a good look.
Okay, they're chocolate chip.
Oh yeah.
Caramel and peanut butter M&M.
Oh gosh, I'm hungry now.
Yeah, sorry. And
really
then
good.
I make fruit tarts and cakes. Last baking stream I did, it was a cake decorating stream where I made a sideboard cake, and maybe I can find a picture of it real quick.
Okay.
Let me see. Let me check the Instagram real quick, and I can show you.
Yeah.
But, I make a bunch of different. I've just started getting into it, so I'm learning it. And God, that picture of me is so old. Yeah. Okay. This. Can I share my screen real quick?
Do you just want me to pull it up? I can pull it up.
Yeah, sure. Why don't I just send you the link?
Send me that link, and I'll pull that up, and it'll be nice and fancy.
Okay, cool.
I got the fancy tricks.
Copy link and then put it in the chat.
How about that? Anywhere.
Put it in the Skype chat. There we go.
Oh, Skype chat. Ooh, you threw me a curveball. I love it. I love it. I can do that. Oh my gosh. Look at you. Look at this cake.
I know my kitchen looks like a mess all around it, but that's because I just finished decorating it.
Gosh, I love cake.
Yes.
Look at this.
That was my first time working with fondant, so I made like a cyborg cake that's like, and it's like it was like a I support Ray Fisher type thing. I'm very into geek culture, as you probably can guess.
Okay, really quick, like 30 seconds. What is that? What does I stand with Ray Fisher? What is that?
Ray Fisher is the actor who played Cyborg in the Justice League movie, and he basically got abused by capitalist overlords, including Joss Whedon and Jeff Johns and a bunch of Warner Brothers execs.
Whoa.
And
so it's class conscious.
It is. I like to think it is.
Yeah?
I know it's like, and also Zack Snyder's Justice League was just a better movie. I know he's a Randian fuck, but whatever.
There's another rabbit hole I want to go down. Randian?
As in, he likes Ayn Rand.
Oh no! That's what I've heard.
So I feel a little guilty, but I did feel really bad for this actor, and I thought he was being really brave when he came out and talked about how he was abused, and treated. So I just wanted to be. I wanted to be supportive. So I made my friend and I made cyborg cake. She made a much better cyborg cake, but she's been decorating cakes longer than I have.
Fondant's hard to work with.
It is because it always, yeah.
And it doesn't taste good. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
Give me a buttercream. Give me the buttercream.
A layer of icing between the fondant and the cake.
All right. I love it.
Yeah.
So cute.
I live on the East Coast near DC.
Okay.
I have lived here almost my entire life. I spent a little time living in West Virginia and Louisiana. I do think living in West Virginia made me a little more class conscious. I grew up like a suburban kid, very privileged. My fathers were diehard Republican. And I was always like, I started as sort of like a liberal feminist, and I'm still a feminist, but not so much the liberal part anymore. I think like coming out of college and entering the workforce kind of gave me opened my eyes a bit. Like I was told my entire life, like, you have to go to college and you have to work hard and go to college. And then once you go to college and if you do well, you're going to get a job and you'll be fine. And that did not happen for me.
It's hilarious.
It's bullshit. It's complete bullshit. And basically when I was entering the workforce and I started doing some stuff that was kind of related to my actual degree, I became very, very irritated with some of the bullshit I was seeing and how nothing also just when you work in government contracting, you start becoming very frustrated with how the government works and all the bureaucracy and all the business stuff in it. And I had a front row seat to that because I would look at what are called RFPs, which are requests for proposals, which would be government would send out and say, we're doing this project and we want a company to do it for them. And we want you to promote your services to do this project for us, basically. I mean, that's a very blah definition of it. That's more or less what it is. And you just start seeing, not just in terms of how the modern job market works and how late stage capitalism is failing us, but also just how gross and sturdy and bullshitty so much the infrastructure around us is. When you have to read an RFP, you'll start hating the state quite a bit, and you'll start hating business quite a bit. And it's not that I hate the government. I hate the government in general. I think the government can do a lot of great things, but I think the state needs to be streamlined in a lot of ways and become much more representative and not so businessy. And that's what kind of bothers me. Now I technically work for the government kind of through a contractor now, but it's doing something I actually believe in, which is good. And a combination of that, and I have to admit, and this is kind of embarrassing, the 2016 election.
What? Yes. Are you about to be canceled? What are you saying? What happened? The
2016 election. I am a little bit about to be canceled because I will say one thing for Trump. He really did radicalize me and a lot of other people I know. That's
in what way?
Well, it's when my beliefs in liberalism completely crumbled. Like any belief remaining belief I had in liberalism completely was demolished by 2016.
What happened? Wow, really quickly. I'm so sorry. We got to dig in, but why? We may have to put a pin in this, but
the Democratic National Caucus was a piece of shit, and they screwed over people who actually wanted to make a change and make things better. And then they completely neglected everyone that they supposedly cared about, and wanted to rest on their laurels of we're not Trump. And because of that, they lost, and they were shocked that they lost. And it's like,
can you believe it?
Yeah, you lost, bitches. You dumb bitches. Like,
yeah.
And they wonder why they can't appeal to people and why people don't trust them. Well, I mean, and you know, a lot of people in my sphere, because like I said, I was a liberal feminist, was going, well, it's just because of sexism, because people don't like Hillary Clinton. I'm like, actually, people don't like Hillary Clinton because a lot of us don't like Hillary Clinton because she's a war criminal. Also, she spent, like, if you look at her campaign trajectory, she spent most of her time ignoring the people that would really, really matter in terms of getting her elected, and more of her time just expecting people to engineer shit for her. Like, I would disagree with my dad on politics on, like, a number of things, and I think he's wrong most of the time. But the Democrats totally 100%, like, wanted. He said that the DNC was trying to make 2016 Hillary's coronation, and it was. That's exactly right. And I couldn't take it anymore, basically. I couldn't take, like, the hypocrisy and the bullshit of it anymore. When I looked into, you know, like, Obama, like, I was going to college through a lot of Obama's presidency and stuff like that. I was going to school, and throughout it, I was just, like, becoming more and more disillusioned. Because, you know, when you're like a 17-year-old kid and the first black president is elected and he's promising to do all this stuff for you, you're really like, you know, like you're so excited and everything, but it really does reinforce certain ideas, and that's kind of what pushed me to left. And now I consider myself more of like a democratic socialist around that sphere. So we need a huge overhaul.
Okay. With that said, you've mentioned you're a democratic socialist. Are you in any organizations?
I'm not in the DSA. If that, not really. I'm more of like a community-based person. Like, I'll do stuff with let me see, how do I put this? Like, more local stuff and more of like singular issues and things like that. I mean, I'm subscribed to the DSA and everything, but I'm not, like, I don't consider myself like a particular member of any single one thing. I kind of want to build like a new, like, my idea is more like old caucuses and old organizations don't really work. I've been through enough of them before, and I feel like we need to build like new stuff, like a new unified left and a new unified organizations within it. So just don't ask me to lead it because I'm lazy.
Same. I just want to do my show. Wonderful. WendyNerd, wonderful. Let's go ahead and keep digging in. We have time, yeah. Let's go ahead and give us a little bit of time here. What's grinding your gears, WendyNerd? What else is on your mind? What are you thinking about?
Police states and wealth hoarding.
Why? Okay, police states and wealth hoarding. Why police?
Okay, so police states, I mean, you just have to look at the news, at anything going on in the news, I think, to want to look like, tell the cops to go fuck themselves, like, completely. I was just looking at some pictures from one of the was it the DeWanda Wright protests. 1 second, let me. Not DeWanda Wright.
Adam Toledo.
No, not Adam Toledo. Right. What was his first name? I was just looking at somebody with the name DeWanda, and it was similar to his name.
It's a problem that we can't figure out who it is, right?
Yeah, no. I know. It's well, there's so many people. Mm-hmm. The Duante Wright. Duante, not Duandre. Duante Wright. Protests, and like there are pictures. I can show you that too.
Sure.
Of
I need links. I'll pull them up.
I'll put the link of police like surrounding a church where victims of police brutality have been held. That's like literally like happening right now. There are cases of like them going specifically after medics and journalists, and just that's a church where people like who have been hurt by the police are like hiding out, and so the police did this to the church.
Someone give me a bowling ball.
Mm-hmm.
In Minecraft.
And like I don't want to sound like an archetypical white person. Like, I have black friends, but I do have black people in my life that I care a lot about, and a Latino people in my life that I care about. And so I guess it doesn't, like, there's so much pain that they cause, and and so much cruelty and brutality, and there's, like, I don't see any upsides anymore to having police. And it just, what is your point when you cause more damage than you supposedly prevent? So yeah, that is one of the things that is making me the most upset. I've cried a bit here, and like every time sometimes I feel like there's this like thing, I have no tears left to cry or whatever, but like sometimes you just feel that way, and it's not just it's not like a lack of empathy, but it's like, every time, it seems like every time you turn around, the police are massacring some poor kid. And it's like, we do live in a police state. Like, I live in a black neighborhood, and the cops would always come around us, even though there hadn't been, like, anything going on. And there would be cops patrolling your neighborhoods and shit. And it would be like, why are you here? Nobody's doing anything. People are walking their dogs. You know? And it's like, I can't stand it anymore, you know? That's one of the things I am very upset about these days, to say the least. And the other one, which I think is just like one of the root causes of said police state, is wealth hoarding.
Yeah, go ahead and take a couple moments. We'll talk about wealth hoarding. Who's hoarding wealth?
Basically, people who just accumulate money for the sake of accumulating money, and people who make a lot of efforts in order to hide how much wealth they've accumulated. Like, I don't believe for a second that Elon Musk is truly the richest man in the world.
Yeah.
I believe the richest person in the world is somebody we've never heard of. Multiple people that we've never heard of. And I know this sounds conspiratorial, but I don't think it is in any way, shape, or form. I think it's just the facts. And there's some people who are like, and I hate going into this rhetoric because I'm Jewish. And when you go into this rhetoric, people go, oh, yes, Jewish lizard people, David Icke, blah, blah, blah. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I think they're either people we haven't heard of or people we know of, and we know they're rich, but we don't know how rich they are because it's very carefully hidden, like very carefully dispersed. Like, wealth is technically dispersed among family members or shell companies or things like that, and it basically exists to keep people from knowing how rich some people are. I was reading an article a few weeks ago, and I streamed it, but it didn't, like, but I plan on, like, going over it again, about how Queen Elizabeth, she's in the news right now for obvious reasons, and how she had a law put on the books back in the 70s in order to conceal the true extent of her wealth, basically. So, yeah. Now, keep in mind, she hasn't paid she has only been paying taxes for the last 20 years or so. She started paying taxes, like, I think in, like, 2002 or something. Yeah. And all I can think about is this stuff is happening. There's so much. She's not going to be the only one that happens with. She's the only public-facing person that, like, people are, like, learning about now. But it's an interconnected web of people who try to make sure that, like, they want to spare themselves the guillotine, basically. Like, okay, so I've read this is going to sound crazy. I like to connect things to pop culture because I think that makes it more accessible. If you've read Crazy Rich Asians or seen the movie, and you've read, like, the books, it goes into how a lot of these families in, like, Singapore and certain parts of China, and how they very carefully hide their wealth, and they hide their public image, and they keep themselves out of the public eye as much as possible. And these people are, like, billionaires, like, billionaires, right? And they purposely have, like, these real estate holdings all over the place, right? And they also make sure that each child has a giant, like, each of their kids, each of their grandkids, and everyone has, like, their own giant real estate portfolio. A lot of these properties are completely empty. And that's how so, like, on paper, they're only worth maybe 100 million, but in reality, they're worth, like, 80 billion or something like that. And you've seen it in other things. Like, I was reading about the London real estate market, and the housing crisis, and how there are countless luxury apartments within within all these major cities that are completely unoccupied. Mm-hmm. Like completely unoccupied. And then they sorry, my arm keeps disappearing. I don't know why, but every time but yeah, there's all these apartments and stuff that are completely unoccupied and owned by bought by a Saudi prince or something like that. And they're exchanged, they're passed around among the capitalist class, basically. You'd give away an old watch, or you give away, random shit, and it's passed around like candy, and you're wondering why does somebody with $800 million need 4 apartments in Manhattan? Why do you need 4 apartments? No, you don't. And what really gets me upset about this is because I feel like people look at the wrong people when they talk about this. Mm-hmm. Because like I said, I get nervous about this sort of we get nervous. I get nervous about this sort of rhetoric because it sounds like the usual conspiratorial shit you hear about, the 5 Jew bankers or whatever. I'm Jewish, so I really don't like that. I do not like that rhetoric. It scares the shit out of me. But it is true. It's a lot of people like to think we live in a world of democracy and republics and blah blah blah. And the old days of aristocracy pre-French Revolution are gone. No. There's still tons and tons of German princes, many of which were in fact Nazis, who live wonderfully luxurious lives. There's aristocrats, and whether they're literal old school nobility, or they are, or they're industrialists who have basically become aristocrats. They're to this day, today, we have people buying noble titles. Literally. There's a whole market. Titles, literal titles like Lord of Blankety Blank and Duke of Bullshit and whatever. They're literally shopped around. It's a whole market, and it's actually been a market for hundreds of years. And it's one of the ways that the capitalist class have basically been able to, the upper classes or the capitalist class, whatever you want to call them, have been able to maintain things even as they shift their positions around the world. And literary reference, the Count of Monte Cristo.
Yeah.
In the Count of Monte Cristo, Edmond Dantes shows up at the Count of Monte Cristo in the world of the French aristocracy suddenly out of nowhere, right? Nobody knows who he is. And there's this part where a bunch of male aristocrats, in the book, there's a part where a bunch of male aristocrats are talking about each other, and they're like, yeah, this new man, the Count of Monte Cristo, he's this incredibly rich man, but we don't know where he came from. And then they were like, well, we should look into him, shouldn't we? And they're like, well, he probably just bought his title from someone, and it's made very clear that the reason why they don't want to pursue this further is because quite a few of the other men in this room have in fact bought their titles, or their fathers bought their titles, or something like that. And that is still a thing to this day. Pippa Middleton, who is the sister of the Duchess of Cambridge, her father-in-law bought his noble title.
What?
Yeah, that's it. So literally for hundreds of years, this has been a market, and it's been a way for people to shift themselves around on the sort of the board of the upper classes. Yeah. And it's a way they've been able to hoard and conceal and distribute their wealth. And it's the most repulsive thing. It's so repulsive, especially in the years of the pandemic. I don't understand how everybody isn't a socialist now. I'm shocked that there aren't literal guillotines coming out right now.
Yeah.
And I know that I say that while I'm dressed like this, but that's exactly what I mean. We should all be you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I make that same point often, actually.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got to insist. We're gonna move along here in our chat. No, you're perfect. Never change, Wendy. But let's chat more about your leftward bound journey. This is a discussion about your pathway towards leftism or what have you. You don't have to define your ideology or politics if you don't want to. You are encouraged. But how about we start right there and we go from there?
Well, like I said, I was born into a right-leaning family. Mm-hmm. But it's a little more complicated. I'm a military brat. I'm an Army brat.
Okay.
My father and my sister are Republicans. My mom was a Democrat, but now she considers herself a libertarian. They watch a lot of Fox News.
Oof.
I became a liberal feminist in my early adolescence, and I kind of remained that way. And I kind of remained that way for a long time. But as you kind of read more about it, and I know that a lot of people are very frustrated with liberal feminists these days, and I understand why. However, it is what helped bring me into leftism, because I started getting into this whole thing where, like, I would read about all these, like, very great, giant miscarriages of justice that were just downright fucking baffling. And I was wondering, like, how do these things still fucking happen when we supposedly have this society that's democratic, that wants to give equal rights and equal opportunities to everybody? So you read about, like, you know, racial injustices, sexual injustices, that sort of thing. And I would look into it, I would look into politics, and I'd be wondering why are certain things supposedly promoted while in reality, like, we're throwing, you know, like a 15-year-old kid in 20 years for weed, you know? Or meanwhile, like a 19-year-old rapist gets a slap on the wrist from a judge and gets to go home. And his biggest problem is that he can't eat steak. Why is that? And because that is what started pushing me into, like, this whole thing. And then I started realizing and looking into all the, all the interests that came together. And like I said, I worked as a government contractor. I worked as a proposal writer. And that really gives you a good, clear, like, I once worked on a project where, like, $250 million was being spent on a building. And I don't want to get sued or anything, so I'm not going to say exactly what it was for. But, like, hundreds of millions of dollars was spent on something that, you know, technically was a useful building, but I was wondering, why does we need to spend this much money on this thing? You know? Whereas, like, and then there would be, like, one contract after another that did exactly the same thing for the exact same departments, just slightly different locations and stuff like that. And it would infuriate me. Like, and I would get so upset because I would be thinking about, like, hey, I know a place down the road that is trying to get some money together so that they can add another dormitory to their homeless shelter. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I guess that's that, and a combination of, I just became friends with certain people. I have a friend, Deanna, and you can follow her on Twitter at MoonPetalX. She's great. Or is it MoonPetalXX? I always forget if there's one or two X's. But she also goes by Bunny Milk, so you can find her. It's MoonPetalXX, at MoonPetalXX. She's great. She helped push me left, too. She's a Marxist-Leninist, and she taught me a lot. We met through fandom, actually, because we used to talk. We're both fans of Sansa Stark. That's why I'm wearing this tiara. And surprisingly enough, yes, there's a whole leftist community that follows this character who's born as the rich girl who learns that the system is disgusting. I wonder why young burgeoning female leftists like that character so much. But yeah, so we met through that, but then we started talking about other things. I was like, saying to her, well, why do you hate liberals so much? And then she started, like, sending me stuff and taught me so much. And I was like, well, damn. That's exactly why we need, I was like, wow, we really do need to dismantle this entire goddamn system. And that's basically what pushed me left, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this before we wrap up this portion of the chat, I did want to give you another chance to let us know about any more aspects of politics or leftist theory of thinking, of history, any more personal experiences by yourself or others, anything else that pulled your heart or mind to the left.
Well, I'm going to say something, but I'm going to be quick about it because it's going to be, because I know some of the questions that are going to come up. Mm-hmm. And it's going to relate to another answer to a question I have.
Yeah, I love it.
But I'm very interested in, like, homegrown resources and not technically industry, but, like, the production, I guess, in order for, like, different countries and being self-sufficient. And in that manner, I'm, like, really fascinated by that, like, creating a self-sufficient areas that are not dependent on foreign aid or, like, any sort of imperialist force in a post-colonial world. The development of that is something I'm very interested in.
Okay, help me understand. What does that mean?
Okay, so like a country that maybe got colonized before.
Okay.
And because like of the ravaging of like colonialism, they had like a lot of problems like being on their own feet and are expected to take all the foreign aid in the world. And so they try to grow their own things. Like create their own businesses, I guess, right? In order to be self-sufficient without outside forces being able to create leverage over them. I'm very fascinated by that.
Okay.
And that I think is like a very important component towards moving like the world left, is creating that sort of like self-sufficiency and like an individual, like not individuals. I sound like a fucking Randian. I'm sorry. But no. Places where like being able to reteach people and like regrow our own worlds, I guess.
Okay. I think so. I think I've watched some of that content on my channel, but I would wonder if you can give us an example, a specific example. This is good. I just want to make sure people understand.
Okay.
Explain it to someone like they're 5. Yeah.
Can I use this as like a way? Can we get to like rearrange one of the questions or make you're going to ask later about a leftist that I would have wanted to meet? Living or dead. Tomas Sankara.
Oh, baby.
Yeah.
They just like there was some news about Tomas Sankara, about Comrade Sankara, that just came out like in the past week, right? They pretty much I'm sorry, I can't remember exactly what it was, but yeah.
Yeah, no, there's been memorials to him, and he's been cleared of a lot of the stuff that, like, people accused him of, like, having gulags and blah, blah, blah. And, there was a bunch of stuff saying that France might have had him assassinated. And it turned out it wasn't France themselves. It was, like, some political rivals, but he was cleared of a bunch of stuff that he was accused of when creating Burkina Faso as its modern-day country. And the reason why this relates to what I was talking about before is because that's exactly what he tried to do. He rejected a lot of not all foreign aid, but a lot of foreign aid because he saw a lot of foreign aid organizations as branches of imperialism. And he tried to create like something where make Burkina Faso as its own country self-sufficient, which I think is very important in like a post-colonial, well, not really a post-colonial world, but creating a post-colonial world. And that is something that I find incredibly interesting and important. That's one of the aspects of politics that like I'm very interested in today, and that's why I would love to beat Tomas Sankara, because I think he did a lot of really amazing things, despite the fact that he was fucking murdered before he could do as much as he would have liked to.
Yeah.
Another thing that was getting me is like I said, I just got my Fauci ouchie. And I'm wondering if that's going, like the mass vaccinations are going to shift anyone more towards socialized medicine, and I kind of want to track that a little bit.
Oh, that's fascinating. That sounds like something I would definitely love any developments on. You can just hop back on the channel and we'll keep the conversation going. I'd love to check in with anything we're talking about today. Honestly, Wendy, this is great. I have so much I want to ask you about, and like keep digging in. You're giving me so many little things I want to like ask and have you explain to my audience, but we only have a certain amount of time, so let's keep digging in.
I'll come back sometime.
I would love it. Consider this round 1, and we're going to have you on. Since we got rid of when we're done with this, we'll be able to be done with all the little stuff, and then we can start digging in, baby. This is wonderful. Okay. I'm really loving this, Wendy. So let's go ahead and then ask, if I can insist we move along in the #BeBest category. If you had a chance to go back in time, hypothetically, and talk to a younger version of yourself, give yourself life shortcuts, or chat with someone who is a viewer or who's going to watch the replay, what life or political tips or shortcuts would you share if given the chance?
Don't trust someone who wants to start something with you but doesn't want to pay you and just expects you to work constantly, because I actually did that. I tried to start a business with somebody and they stole it, and it was such a it was literally one of the most traumatic things that ever happened to me.
Oh.
And I don't want to go into it too much, but it was complete fucking bullshit. I had built something with someone, and I had recruited all these people to create a media criticism site, and they basically, at the end of a year, they were like, okay, well, we're moving on. We're going to call the site something else, and we're taking everybody you recruited and all the things you came up with. And I'm taking these 2 people you recruited that ended up being huge assets, and we're all going to start a new thing without you. And you're not welcome, and blah, blah, blah. And I had devoted an entire year of my life to trying to develop this. And, yeah, it was complete bullshit.
That's awful. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, I literally like went into a depression for several years because of it.
Huge fucking bummer. Like galactic bummer. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, and then and that is something that like I think a lot of people could have learned, that especially in the internet age. I think that's something that a lot of people could learn. If somebody's asking you to devote more than a couple hours of your time into something, or something like that, just for exposure, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I don't mean like something like this where you get interviewed, but I mean like,
okay, good.
Like if you were to ask me to like write a bunch of stuff for your thing or whatever,
hell no.
And then yeah, you know, that sort of thing, I would be like, no. But do not do that. Do not like let people try to get you to do stuff for exposure. Do not invest your time unless you can get like stuff in writing, that sort of thing. And then another thing I would make sure put more pressure on your psychiatrist, because I got diagnosed with bipolar disorder a couple years ago, and I really could have used that diagnosis a few years earlier. Because now that I'm medicated, I'm much better off, and I'm a lot more emotionally stable. I was not so emotionally. There's like probably an embarrassing plethora of embarrassing shit I used to write on Tumblr because I got angry about bullshit for so long because I had an untreated mental illness, and so that's another thing. Cries for help are not a bad thing. Cries for help are good, actually. Cry for help when you need it. Okay. You are not weak for crying for help. You're strong for doing it. And don't go to grad school, because that was almost $30,000 of my money that went down the
It's a lot of money.
That's what I would tell myself.
Wendy, I'm certain someone's going to find that advice wonderful. Thank you for sharing, of course.
No problem.
Wonderful to get to hang out with you. Mm-hmm. So now that brings us to the Leftist Inquisition.
No!
Yes!
I hate inquisitions. I'm Jewish. I can't be inquired.
Oh my gosh. I maybe should have been more thoughtful. Okay. So this is the Leftist...
You're canceled.
Questionnaire. Hey, of course, skip any question or pass anything you don't want to answer. I don't care. It's fine. Do you have a favorite word, WendyNerd?
Yeah, I like a lot of Yiddish words.
Hit us. Yeah, you can. Yeah.
I like Shana, which means pretty. When I really love something, I'll say it's Shana, because pretty or beautiful is just not enough. And because Yiddish is such an expressive language, that it really brings. I also like schmuck, which is great. I also just like sounds, like emotional sounds that remind me of my family. Okay. Like my grandfather just used to go about things that he thought were ridiculous.
Yeah, right. And that's not a word.
It's not a word. It's just.
But it's super expressive. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's great, isn't it? It's so great. Yeah. So those are some of my favorite words and/or sounds. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have a least favorite word?
Oh, quetch is good. Sorry, I shouldn't have read the chat, but I did for a second.
It's fine.
Do I have a least favorite word? Okay, I have a least favorite phrase.
Okay.
I hate it when people tell me to calm down.
Ay.
It never
that. Works.
It's often weaponized in a way, like when I've been perfectly calm, like I'm just like saying, okay, well, I think you're wrong about this. You know, I'll just say that, and they'll be like, calm down, Wendy. And I'm like, well, now you've made me mad. There's like, if you ever want to do the opposite of calm someone down, say calm down. Also, especially when you're told to calm down about things that actually matter.
Oh, yeah.
like I was talking about like Tamir Rice like a year ago, and I was talking about like, just the fucking vileness of it. It's like, it's just so horrifying, like the fact that like people can just like murder this child and just get away with it, and blah, blah. And they're like, Wendy, calm down. It doesn't affect you. And I'm like, you know what? I think it actually affects all of us because we're humans. And also, don't fucking tell me to calm down. If there's anything to get upset about, it would be the murder of a child. What am I not supposed to be calm about? If I'm not supposed to be calm, if I'm supposed to be calm about that, what is worthy of my anger and my frustration if the murder of a child is not something to get really upset about? Mm-hmm. Now, granted, I do get upset over stupid shit too because I'm in fandom, but
sure.
Still,
fair.
Yeah.
See, you know when it's fandom. Come on, it's different from real fucking life. Okay.
Yeah.
Gosh, Wendy.
Give us a smile is really irritating. I get that a lot.
Give us a smile. Wendy, you're so much prettier when you
I used to work in a restaurant.
Sorry,
and I was
I'm
a
an asshole.
busboy at a restaurant, and every time I came to put the dishes on the tray thing,
yeah,
the dishwasher would look at me and go, "Where's that beautiful smile?" And I'd be like, "I'm holding a fucking wet plate filled with old soggy spaghetti."
Yeah. It's Shut up. It's right in here. Fuck you.
But yeah, I'll smile right now.
Fuck them, dude. I hate that shit. Earn it. That's what I say. Fucking earn it. Say something worth smiling at. That's really them projecting that they're not worth. They can't get you to smile. Yeah.
I want to get my teeth like surgically transplanted to have vampire teeth, so I can be like,
yeah.
Every time somebody tells me to smile. And I just start, I have like fake blood. I might start like carrying it around and just like, oh, really? Okay.
Oh my gosh, like, yes.
Blood stained teeth.
All right, by the end of this interview, I want to see some blood. Okay.
All right, go.
Now, yeah, you're more than welcome. Hey, so we've come along here to the next question, which is, do you have like a favorite drug or vice or guilty pleasure? You can name one of each.
I like cannabis.
Hey.
Like I said, I'm into cannabis advocacy.
Yeah. Definitely got to chat with you more about this. Yes, but yes.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I can educate you on some of the it's been decriminalized in Maryland, thank God.
Oh.
Now the next step is to get all nonviolent drug offenders out of prison, but step by step.
It's never enough.
I am an incrementalist.
Take what you can.
I love pop music. I spent the last several minutes before we started doing this listening to Dua Lipa and Doja Cat, so I'm trash. No, but they're really good musicians, so maybe not. I think they're a lot better than a lot of the pop stars Anyways, guilty pleasure. I have a weekly bad movie club.
Okay.
Last time we watched this horrible animated crappy movie about a wizard that we found on Amazon. We've watched things like, don't watch a movie called Butt Boy. You think it's going to be really funny and bad, but it's actually like a miserable experience watching it. It's not a porn, by the way. Butt Boy is not a porn.
Okay.
It's about a man whose ass just can take anything up it, and you think, oh, that's hilarious, but it's not. It's actually like the most miserable fucking thing. Like, especially if you have kids, don't watch it. Like, it'll be miserable if you watch it.
Just made my eye twitch.
Yeah. We watched Sharktopus versus Terracuda, which is a pterodactyl and a barracuda. A giant pterodactyl with barracuda teeth. And a Sharktopus, which is like a shark's head on octopus tentacles. We watched stuff like that. We watched Samurai Cop.
Okay.
Next time I want us to watch the animated Titanic musical. We watched The Apple, which is great.
Nothing.
Teeth is a good movie, though. That's not a bad movie. Teeth is a great movie. I love that movie. All right, sorry. I shouldn't have looked at chat. Sorry.
I'm so upset. Hey.
So, yeah, I love bad movies. Also, I buy a lot of cheap costume jewelry online, but I usually do that for my vampire show and to dress up. I like to cosplay or do something approximating cosplay in a lot of my streams. Like, if I'm playing Hades, I'll put on, like, a Greek goddess costume and wear a bunch of, like, owl jewelry to pretend. I'll pretend to be Athena, or I'll put on, flower roses and stuff to be Aphrodite and all that stuff. So I have, like, a whole tiara collection because I'm a bougie bitch. I wear this when I play Hades.
I don't have a tiara, much less a collection, which would necessitate a tiara rack.
And everyone should feel like a princess.
Yo, I love that. I love it. Hey,
just not in the evil aristocrat way.
Of course. Do you have a favorite sound or noise?
Well, we've been through the but
yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Let me think. I love the sound of my cat purring.
Oh, I know. They say it like
I have the cutest, most adorable little kitty in the entire world. She's so adorable, it kills me. Like she's a tuxedo.
Oh, I love him. I love him.
Yeah, and she's kind of an asshole, but that's cats, you know. And she's got little white toes, but her paws are black, and she does not look like Hitler.
Okay.
All right, because she's got the whole white. She's like the opposite of Hitler. She's a Jewish kitty with like white around the snout, and there's no black here. So, but half of her actual nose is black, which is pretty funny.
Oh my gosh.
She's so cute. So yeah, the sound of my cat purring makes me happy.
All right, I have to push back. You said cutest, and that's clearly not true because my cats are the cutest. So do you have a? Yeah, no, that's true though.
You have a tuxedo cat too, aren't they? Those are the cutest.
Yeah,
we'll share cat pictures. Follow me. We'll share cat pictures.
Absolutely, I want to see all the cat pictures.
Let me see if I can find like my favorite picture of her. Is this one where she's like perched up and she's looking over the edge of my bed because I was like playing around with her favorite fake mouse, and she looks very perturbed, but she just looks like a little munchkin kitty.
If that's easy to find, for sure. Let me ask you then about a sound or noise that you hate.
Okay, so you know how sometimes you call a number and it got the number got disconnected or something. So when you call it up, I'm sorry, call cannot be completed as dialed. I don't know who decided that the thing that you press up against your ear needed to make that sound.
Yeah, it's awful.
But look, I'm for democracy and everything, and I'm for abolishing prisons. But we need to keep that person. Whoever made that decision needs to be kept from voting and thrown in prison. I hate that sound more than anything in the entire universe. It is the fucking worst. It makes me want to kill things.
It's like a weird interval. It doesn't sound good. Okay, so the next question is about the reincarnation. It's a reincarnation question. If you could come back as some other, as a plant or some other animal, what would it be? A non-human animal?
I would be my cat. I would be.
I'm sorry. What's the cat's name again?
Stevie Nicks.
Stevie Nicks. I'm sorry.
The greatest songwriter of all time. So I grew up with cats, and my parents used to name them after military leaders, and unfortunately, two of them as military leaders were Confederate generals. Which I don't even one was Lee and the other one was Jackson. So and I hate that. But I decided, in the name of patriotism, I am going to name my cat after a real American hero and not a traitor. So I named her after the American Queen of Rock and Roll, Stevie Nicks.
Beautiful. I don't know any of the words. Okay. Next is the God question. If one day you find out heaven and God actually exist, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at your version of the pearly gates at the end of your life?
You can be a vampire. That's what I want to hear.
Just keep it simple. You can be a vampire up here, yeah?
Yeah, but I love vampires.
Come on, you can be a vampire. Come on in.
Yeah,
go do the thing.
I want to be a vampire.
Stevie Nicks will be here soon. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey. She's also going to be a vampire.
In the form of a vampire cat?
Yeah. Well, also the crossover singer as a vampire. If Stevie Nicks, the real Stevie Nicks, was a vampire,
she'll be there too as a vampire.
Yeah.
I this is your version of the pearly gates.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
It's a goth club, and no straight people are allowed.
Okay, so the gates are black.
The gates are black.
I just realized
and they're wrought iron and their little skulls on the top.
Yeah. Lots of spider webs. Okay. It's all coming together.
Mm-hmm.
So how about an influential leftist dead or alive, that you would like
I already
to meet?
told you, Tomas
right.
Sankara.
Thomas Sankara. We have an emote for Comrade Sankara here in my BTTV emotes. Love him. We got to dig more into that and learn more about him. It would be cool for you to chat with us about that sometime.
Yes.
How about then, what, and maybe you've already mentioned it. What do you think, let me pull this over here. What do you think they would think about you or the world, or what would you hope they would, Thomas Sankara would say about you?
Well, I don't think he'd think much of me at all, but that's fine. I'm totally cool with that.
Cool.
I would just want to bring him back just so he could teach us stuff.
Hey,
you know?
Yeah.
And
that goes right into the next question, which is, what do you think you would ask? And you could feel free to take your time. Yeah.
Yeah. What can we do right here, right now? Do you think?
Well,
that's what I would
right
like to ask him. Like, what should we be doing right here and right now? Mm-hmm. Like, I know we're the richest country in the world, but you can probably tell we're a fucking mess. What do you think? What do you think we should do? Because he actually did. He's one of those people who seemed to really try to offer solutions, and he was just fucking murdered before he could enact a lot. He actually enacted quite a few solutions. Like, he started a bunch of schools. He started having like every village build like a health center. Huh. He outlawed polygamy and female genital mutilation.
Hey.
So yeah,
he was pretty based, and I gotta say, he had a great hat. He had a good fit.
He was a handsome dude too.
His whole fit was based. Yeah, like, he's a handsome guy. He was a
total Chad.
Yo, like fucking Chad. Was he communist? He was definitely a socialist. He was
Marxist-Leninist.
Oh, based.
Yeah.
Based dude.
African president. He wouldn't want to be a based African king because he was very anti that. But based. He was a hottie too. Historical hottie. Love it.
So then that would that would bring us to the last question, which is, I don't know, maybe you've already said it. Maybe if you want to dig in more, what would you ask them? Yeah, you've already asked them what you did. We already did that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we did.
I'm getting lost. I got to make sure to hit the button to keep track for myself. Okay, so Wendy, my last question then is about streamer tips.
Oh,
what
okay.
Content creation streamer tips do you have for people, be them newbies or veterans?
Listen to this guy.
Who's
you?
Me?
I'm trying to point to you.
Oh, that's
okay.
Sweet.
Because you definitely helped me a lot.
Hey, great.
When you go to the bathroom, because you'll have to.
Yes. Yeah.
Make sure that when you come back, you remember to turn your mic back on, because I always forget to do that.
It's so hard. I know.
I don't. Here's the thing. My bathroom is like really close by, right? And I don't want anybody. And my microphone's pretty decent, so I'm always worried that people are just going to hear me go number one or number two.
Oh yeah.
Or maybe I have to drop a really big deuce, so I groan. That's really embarrassing. I don't want anybody to hear me do that. So
yeah.
And then so what I do before I go to the bathroom is I turn off the mic and desktop audio, and I come back and I always remember to turn on the desktop audio, but then I forget to turn the mic audio, and then people are like, we can't hear you.
Yeah.
Another one
I don't know what to, I wish I had a tip.
Is get a better green screen than I did. In fact, don't get a green sheet, whatever you do, because that is the worst one. Get one that's more solid.
Yeah.
Mine wrinkles all the time, and it doesn't hang properly, and it's very irritating. So get a better green screen than I did. Green
screen's hard, yeah. It's hard to do effectively.
Oh, and stay away from something called, I think it's Streamlabs. Stay away from Streamlabs. They charge me like $12 for literally nothing. $12 a month for literally nothing. I had to go to PayPal and tell them to cut it out. Yeah. Like, I tried to unsubscribe. Their unsubscribe page no longer works. They don't have an unsubscribe thing. I think that has to be illegal, right? But I looked up, and it was like other people were talking about this. Stay away from Streamlabs.
Yeah. There is a free version, by the way, but you may have got suckered into getting the pro version, and you didn't get anything out of that.
Yeah, I wanted to get like some decent like borders and stuff.
Or overlays, yeah.
And
I hear you. I started with that too.
And they were promising me that. And
I think that's how they get you.
Yep.
All right.
Also, don't worry about it necessarily having tons of bells and whistles. You
don't have to. I choose to, but you don't have to for sure. So, Wendy, I'm sorry to do this. We have like literally 1 minute.
Oh no.
Do you have any questions for me before we wrap up? Question, probably question.
All right.
For me.
You know what? I'm gonna ask a silly question if that's all right.
All right. Yeah.
My Chemical Romance is the Black Parade. Yay or nay?
I'm not too aware of My Chemical Romance. I'm not I probably would like recognize a song and be like, oh, that's a song. I know them, but I'm not I can't put a face, a musical face to their name. I'm not too aware of My Chemical Romance.
You've disappointed me terribly.
They're sort of like pop punk, right?
Yeah.
I was more like ska punk.
Rock too.
I was more ska, and then at the time, and
would you like to hear a rock song that had a rock song with Liza Minnelli in it?
Yeah.
Okay, look up their song "Mama."
Okay. Okay. WendyNerd, we've invited you here today in the spirit of building leftist unity, strength, and power. In the same spirit, you've been a wonderful guest. Looking forward to having you back on. We've planted the seed here. We've introduced you to the community, to my chat. We'll be posting this on the YouTube. And thank you so fucking much. This was a lot of fun, and I really appreciate this. Can't wait for next time, okay?
All right, can I just pimp a couple things real quick?
Do it.
All right, one, Les Bordeaux Ausang, we have a YouTube channel. It's LeBordeuxAuSang. That is our vampire role-playing show. It's a Vampire the Masquerade show. All right? 2, I'm at Twitter at WendyNerd. You can find a lot of stuff. And I'm coming up with a podcast analyzing Terry Pratchett's Discworld series. Hey. And it is called, we're going to be called The Unseen Idiots. We're going to be coming out in a few weeks. So, and we're going to have our second season of Les Bordeaux Ausang pretty soon. It's a Vampire the Masquerade show. If you love vampires, if you love blood, if you like fucked up shit, watch us. So, it's on our Twitch channel, on my Twitch channel.
Wonderful. We'll try to get those links in there. Wendy, thank you. Hey, YouTube, you're watching a clip from my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/iDanSimpson, where you can follow for free and subscribe for only $5 a month. Thanks for watching.